Okay, we're going to be studying box and whisker graphs. First thing we're going to talk about are quartiles. Quartiles are values that divide a data set into four equal parts. Quartile is similar to a quarter. There are four quarters in a year, four quarters in a basketball game, that kind of thing. So when a quartile means it divides it into four equal parts. The median is what you are familiar with as a measure of central tendency. But the median is how we find the second quartile. And the second quartile divides the data into upper and lower halves. We have to find the median or the second quartile first, and that allows us to be able to find the first and the third quartiles. It sounds a little different. Well, it is different, but you got to make sure that you understand. Find the second quartile first, and then find the other two quartiles. All right, so we've got 7 items in our data set here. And so when we mark things off the way that I know a lot of you like to do, let's see, let's get this. We mark off the 1, mark off the 15, mark off the 5, and the 13, and the 7, and the 10, and we're left with 9 as our median. That divides it up into a lower half, these green numbers here, and an upper half, the blue numbers here. And we found Q2, the quartile 2, or the median. Okay, remember the median is the middle number. So the first quartile is now going to be the median of the lower half of the data. So I told you that this was the lower half of the data. So to find the quartile of the lower half of the, to find the first quartile, you find the median of that half of the data. The median therefore would be 5. So that is quartile number 1. So to find the third quartile, let's write this down first. This is quartile number 1. This is quartile number 2, or the median. And then the quartile number 3, mark off the 10 and the 15, and you're left with the 13, and that is quartile number 3. So this is what we're left with. We're left with first quartile of 5. The median of quartile number 2 is 9, and the third quartile is 13. All right, now whenever you have quartiles, you're also going to have an interquartile range. All that means is the distance between quartiles. So we get the distance between quartile 3 and quartile 1. That's called the interquartile range. All you do is go Q3 minus Q1. In this case, it's 13 minus 5, and you get 8. So that's how you find a interquartile range. All right, now on this set of data, I want you to collect the minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum of the data set below. Sounds like a lot, but it's not too difficult. You'll be good at it in just a little bit. All right, so what's the first thing that we need to do? Right. First thing we need to do is put it in order. So we arrange the data in order from least to greatest. We take these red numbers, and I've already put them into the blue numbers in order. Okay, so what is the minimum of this data? Yes, 75. And the maximum is 350. And the median, all right, we'll do this the way y'all like to, 350, 75, 140, 80, 140, 125. That leaves us with 126 and 135 as our middle numbers. Divided by 2, that gives us 261 divided by 2, or 130.5. So 130.5 is our median, or quartile number 2. Okay? So if 130.5 is our quartile number 2, that divides it into a lower half of data and an upper half of data. And we need to find the median of the lower half, and that's how we'll know quartile number 1. So we mark off the 75 and the 126, and we're left with 80 and 125 as our middle two numbers. So we go 125 plus 80 divided by 2. That gives us 205 divided by 2, which gives us 102.5. So 102.5 is quartile number 1. All right, quartile number 2. Well, the middle two numbers are going to be 140. So obviously when we do add 140 plus 140 and divide by 2, we're going to get 140. So quartile number 3 is 140. All right, now that we've figured that out, it's your turn. See what you can do about finding the minimum, maximum, median, quartile 1 and quartile number 3 of this data set. Pause the video and then get back with me. Okay, so let's put them in order. We've got 60 is our lowest number, so we put 60, and then next is 65, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 75s, and 1, 2, 3 85s, and then 95, 100, and 105. 95, 100, and 105. Okay, let's make sure we've got the right amount of numbers, that we haven't left anything out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 numbers. And over here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's always good to check because you don't want to do all the work and then find out that you've left out a number and it changes everything. Okay, so the minimum is going to, let's change colors here. The minimum is going to be 60. Well, I'll just write it up here. The minimum is 60. The maximum is 105. The median, okay, let's see. The median will be, mark off the 60 and the 105, the 65 and the 100, 75 and the 95, the 75 and the 85, the 75 and the 85, and we're left with 85 as our median. Now, just in case you want to find an easier way to do this, I take the 11 as the number of items, divide it by 2, and that gives me 5.5. That means that I count to 5, and the next number will be my median. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the next number is the median. So if you have 153 items, marking it off on the ends would take a long time, but doing it this way would be much quicker. All right, quartile number 1. So if this is the quartile number 2, then this is the lower half of the data right here. So let's change the color again. Mark off the 60 and the 75, the 65 and the 75, and we're left with 75 as quartile number 1. And then over here we mark off the 85 and the 105, the 85 and the 100, and we're left with 95 as quartile number 3. Did you do that? Okay, now we did this information so that we could be able to plot it on a box and whisker plot. Okay, a box and whisker plot is a graph that summarizes a data set by displaying it along a number line. And it's called a box and whisker plot because you have a box and then you have these two lines out to the side that look like whiskers. Okay? And what they'll do is they'll use the information that you just found, the minimum, the maximum, the quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3 are the items that fit onto the box and whisker plot. Okay? So the information that you just learned how to find is how you'll construct your box and whisker plot. About 25% of the data for the box and whisker will be in the whisker parts, okay? 25% on each side, and the middle part, the box, will account for about 50% of the data. Now let's look at an example of two box and whisker plots and comparing the information from the average monthly rainfall in Miami, Florida and New Orleans, Louisiana. If you notice, the minimum is much lower in Miami than it is in New Orleans. The maximum is much higher in Miami than it is in New Orleans. The median rainfall It's about 4.5 in Miami, but it's 5.5 almost in New Orleans. Okay, even though the min and max are greater, the median is greater in New Orleans. Okay, so one of the things that you can conclude about this is that how big the box is right here, okay, and how small the box is here. That tells you that the average monthly rainfalls vary much greater in Miami than they do in New Orleans. So the bigger the box, the greater the variance, okay? All right, now one last thing that you got to learn in this section, and that's percentile rank. Okay, so what you do to be able to find that out is it's always good to put these in order, okay? So let's go ahead and do that again. 65 is the lowest. Then we've got 75, 75, 75. And then 85, 85, 85. And then 95, 100, and 105. 95, 100, and 105. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got the right amount of numbers. And let's say that you scored a 95. Let's say that your score was the 95 here. What was your percentile rank in this class of people, in this class that took a test, and these were the scores on the test, okay? You scored a 95, these are all the other scores. Your percentile rank is determined by how many scores were less than or equal to your score, okay? So in this group, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that are less than or equal to your score. So there are 8 out of a total of 10. So 8 divided by 10 gives you 80%. Okay, so that means you scored on the 80th percentile. Now, what if you had scored 75? Okay, let's say you scored 75. Your percentile rank would be 1, 2, 3, 4 scores were less than or equal to 75. 4 out of 10, which would be 40%. So the percentile rank is determined by how many scores or how many items are less than or equal to your score, okay?